how to establish profitable and godly music business structures for gospel artists and music ministers. Welcome to class 5, or you can call it episode 5 of the Music How To sessions. This is Tommy Emmanuel Tush. You call me Tommy Tush, and the tall MD with the word music. Okay, so let's go deep into this. Now, anytime we're talking music business, within the gospel circles, the first thing people hear is money. Okay, they just feel you want to talk about money or how to charge. So some people just tune off and tell you know what, I'm doing music to serve God and to win souls. But I want you to calm down. Okay, we're not talking about how to charge. I want you to relax and follow me. Okay, if you are doing music seriously, if music is not a hobby for you, if it's something you're doing serious, in a serious way, if it's something you want to do for the long haul, then trust me, you want to learn music business structures, because there's no way you can do music in a very serious way beyond just being a hobby or something you just have passion for. You want to do it for long, you've got to learn music business. You've got to learn the business of what you're doing. So I'm going to expose to you what exactly music business is, because many people don't understand it. They just, once they hear business, all they think about is money. Let me attack it from this angle. There's one thing, okay, that record labels actually bring into the life of an artist. One thing, and that's not money. Many times you think about the money. Yeah, record label brings money, okay? Funding the recordings, funding the videos, promotion of songs, tours and all of those things, fantastic. But you see, what they are really bringing is not the money, because if it's that money, you may as well get that money elsewhere. What if you have the money all by yourself? Let's say you already have like $500 million or $500 million, dollars. Yeah, you already have it. You probably would think you don't need the record label. You don't need any, established organization for your music. But there is something that a record label brings into the life of an artist, and that is structure and order. That is one thing that many independent artists don't have. And those who have it, trust me, they are operating what I call a label structure. They might not tell you that they are under a label, but they are working with a structure. Go and ask any of them. Any independent artist who is not visibly signed to a label, but they are doing well, trust me, they are operating within a very regimented system. So the first thing that a record label brings into the life of an artist is that structure. Now, for an independent artist, for example, and I'm sure many of you watching this will be able to relate, you may just not feel like recording a song in 1 year. You may just feel like, this year, I don't feel like recording any song. Let me just chill. I'm not moved. I'm not inspired. I did not receive any song. I didn't download any song in the spirit realm. And then maybe 2 years after, you're like, yeah, we're not ready to record. We're not ready to record. I'm feeling the grace. But you see, when you are signed under a label, there's nothing like there's nothing like you are not moved. Because when you sign that contract, there are terms and conditions. They are telling you, okay, in 1 year, in the first year, you must release 5 singles. In your next year, you must maybe drop an EP or an album or something. You must go on tours. Throughout your maybe 5-year deal with that label, you must drop like maybe 3 or 4 albums. All of those things are there. Irrespective of your feelings, you must get to work. I remember watching a movie, this series, I think it was on YouTube. I'm not sure whether it's still on YouTube. It was produced by the legendary Funke Akindele, and it was titled Industreet. I remember one of the artists there, when he got signed to a label, the label got him a duplex, got him a car, told him, you know what, you're not even going to do anything. Got him a chef, be cooking. All you need to do is just to enter the studio that is in your house every day, just be recording. So you will find artists signed under a label, they probably have like 500 songs. Maybe they've only released like 10, but they keep on recording. That is structure. Because left to an independent artist, they won't do anything. They will work based on their feelings. Okay, so that is one aspect of the structure that a record label brings into the life of an artist. Other structures are there. So Let me now explain to you what music business is. Music business refers to the different structures that you put in place as a music minister or as an artist to enable you to continue to do music for long, to be able to also produce your product, which in this case is music, and let that product reach the right consumers. All the structures involved, every process, everything put in place to empower you, to supply you with the resources to be able to do music for long, to enable longevity, to sustain you, and also to enable you to be able to reach your end users with your product. They are all what we call music business structures. Now, there are many things under this, so many things under this. So what we want to learn right now is, as gospel artists and music ministers, how do you establish godly and profitable music structures, music business structures? Now, we're not talking about charging and all of those things, but you have to understand that there's no way you want to do music seriously that money will not be involved. Anybody that is telling you that money will not be involved is just lying to you. Money is involved. Why? Because money is a means of exchange for value. People pay for something that they value. You listening to me, the things that you pay for are the things that you value. You consider those things to have so much worth that you are ready to part with your funds for it. So the same thing applies to music. So the first thing you need to understand is that as a music minister or as a gospel artist who wants to do music for long, who wants to reach the world, there are structures you need to put in place. You cannot do it by yourself. It's not something you can do by yourself. So let's say you're an independent artist, you're not signed under a record label, right? One of the things at the beginning, right, you are probably doing many things by yourself. You are writing your songs, if you are that skilled, you may even be designing your own album artwork, writing your own posts, all of those things. But as you begin to grow, you may want to delegate some of these things, right? You have a team to work with, having a set of backup singers, having musicians. They are part of your music business structures, because right now you have a team to work with. You're not just the only one thinking this thing. You probably have someone on that team who is your acting as your manager. When you have gigs, when you have events to attend, somebody is interfacing with your host. At a point, you can't be doing that by yourself. And for those who are at the other hand, who are wondering, why is this guy not picking call? Why is he sending us to manager? There's a phase that a minister gets to and an artist gets to. It is not pride. Don't think it is pride. It is structure. And it's part of music business structure. I remember listening to Apostle Selman one time, and he said, when he started, when God began to increase his ministry, somebody will call him and say, want you to come and minister in so place, and he will say yes. Another person will call him and he will give 2 different people or even 3 people at the same time, different venues. He did not know. He would not know because he has so many things on his table, until he had to learn that, look, I can't be making enemies because of this. Let me put a structure in place. So the structure will decide where I go to or where I do not go to. So if I say no to a particular invitation, it's the structure that said no to it. And many people doing music have not learned that. You can't grow if you are doing everything by yourself. You need to put some structures in place. You may not have the wherewithal to hire a professional manager at the moment, but find someone within your team, right? I'm being real, because when you say, okay, get a manager, that is theory, because many independent artists cannot even afford, many of them cannot even afford to pay their backup singers 30k naira each, based on what they are getting for now. Yeah, as they progress, some of them can afford that, but there are some of them that maybe because they are just starting, for example, they can't really make too much demands, and so maybe someone goes somewhere and then they get maybe 200k or something as honorarium, and then they are still growing. Of course, I'm going to also add it that when you are still growing, you need to reduce the burden on you, reduce the size of your team. Some of you will go 15-man band on top how much they want to give you. Now you are now struggling, fueling your car, all of those things. There's some wisdom you must just have. Reduce the size of that band. I know you want to be like some people that you're looking up to, but you are still growing. But let's leave that for a minute. Okay, so having someone to interface with your host is part of the structure you put in place, right? Having someone to manage your social media is part of the structure you put in place, especially if you're not social media savvy or you don't have the time. Some of you have a social media account and maybe you run other businesses aside music. So on Monday you are posting music, on Tuesday you are posting that you sell pepper, on Wednesday you are posting that you are selling wigs. The algorithm is confused as to who your audience is and what you're actually posting. Even your followers on social media, like, who is this person? So you may want to separate the accounts that you are using and tell yourself, you know what, I will open a separate account for my business. I'll run sponsored ads on that. This particular account, people will know it for just my music. I'm going to post only my music content there. They are part of the structures that you put in place. So don't do everything by yourself. There are things that you must just learn to delegate. Very, very important. So having that lean team, and when you get that team, have a discussion with them. One of the challenges that a lot of artists tell me they have when they start out in music is that they don't know how to get a team together because people are expensive. And I'm telling them that one wisdom you must learn is before you start out, build relationships, build connections. If when you want to start, you have to pay for everything that you have or that you're going to use, then that means your social capital is really, really low. You should be able to have, you must have created some great connections that when you want to start out something, there are people that are ready to start with you at that low point because they know that, look, what you are doing, for a while you may not really get anything out of it. For a while you may even be the one, quote and unquote, hustling for invitations. Okay, the big stage may not come yet. The big money may not come yet, but you have to fund this thing. And so when people say that, you know what, I'm not doing it for money, I just laugh because there's no way you will do music ministry and you will not spend money. That's how somebody said they're not doing it for money. They were invited to Lagos to Port Harcourt. They traveled to Port Harcourt by road, borrowed. They didn't have money, borrowed money, fueled car, got there. There was no hotel room booked for them. They were looking for where to sleep in a land. Many ministers are going through odds because they don't know how to put structures in place. And we're still going to get to the money part. I hope I can get to it in this particular episode. But I'm going to get to that money part because all this, I don't charge. I need to demystify this thing. Because some of you are just following. Somebody said they don't charge, and you just follow it. I don't charge. You don't even understand what that means. You think I don't charge means that I just go everywhere they send me. And then whatever I don't know, I fund it with my own money, except to really have some serious millions. And it's not even sustainable. I'm talking about those who want to do music on the long haul. You can't be there's nobody doing business that puts money in and there's no profit at the end to put back into the business. So let's say you are doing a particular business, you are selling shoes or something. You are putting the money profit from the shoes, you are putting it into your music. So when will your music start delivering what you will put back into that music? Because the money you are making from your shoe business, you should pour it back into that shoe business. So I'm not going to tell you to charge or not to charge, but you need to understand what that statement, I don't charge, you need to understand what it means. I'm going to get there. But let's start from the basics, right? Have a lean team, all right? Separate your personal business from your music ministry. Separate it. When it comes to your social media, if you know that you don't have the wittiness to be able to create ideas for content, find somebody to do that. Pay them. It's part of the structure. When you get signed to a record label, one of the things that a record label does is they do a social media sweep. There are some things that they will remove from your social media handles. It must not be there. So you can't be a gospel artist right now. When they are talking politics, you put your mouth, you argue, you want to talk about everything. We're not saying that you're not passionate about other things, but find other channels to address those matters. Your social media handle should not be a dump site for everything. When it is time for this particular social activist, I don't want to mention names, it is on your timeline. When any trendy topic is on, you post it there. That's not how it works. You must define what your social media handles stand for. If you are passionate about other things, create other channels to be able to voice out those opinions. I hope you're getting that. Now, after you've done that, okay, I've spoken about how you must have somebody to act as your manager. You don't have the money to hire a professional manager yet, but at least let someone that you know that can interface with other people be able to talk. Because you as an artist, you may not have the the grace and the skill to even talk with people, and because they also know you, they want to come with you based on friendship level. Hey bros, afar, come for events now, and that's how they'll use bro code and friendship. And then you are taking a 15-man band to a meeting. There's no provision for accommodation for them, there's no provision for lunch. And people are very, very funny. They treat their friends in a very shitty way, but then other guests that they don't know, they will honor them. They will pay for their flights, they will take SUVs to go and meet them at the airport and bring them, but their own friend, they will tell them, no, come by road now. So it gets to a point where you need to set up a structure that, you know what, I may not be making demands, but I know what I carry. So let the structure determine how people relate with you. I've said this, in fact, I was teaching this and somebody went to design a small website, like a landing page. You invite me, okay, go and click on this, fill in the details of this ministration, let's have it. Somebody will get across to you. Let's know, do you expect us to come with our full team, with our full band? What is the plan? Is there a plan for honorarium? Is there a plan for refreshment? People have gone for meetings and they will tell the artist and the backup singer to go and sleep in children's church, to sleep on the bench in church. Things have happened that way. That's the reason why some artists, before they even leave, they will ask for money, ask for all of those things. I'm not saying it is right, I'm not saying it is wrong, but there's a reason why many people have gotten to that point. Because they've experienced a lot. So you need to put the structure in place, because if you don't put that structure in place, people are going to abuse your gift. So you don't want people to abuse your gift. All right. So get this sorted. All right. Now, what are the things you need to put in place? I think it's important that as you begin to grow in your ministry, have a separate account for your ministry from your personal account. Yeah, it gets to a point where you will need to do that, because you may discover that when the money is coming into your music, you are spending it on school fees, spending it on personal needs. Yeah, nothing may be entirely wrong with that, but then your music ministry needs some funding. So you have a team. You guys will schedule rehearsals. So where is the money for rehearsals going to come from? It's going to come from the money you have made. You should be able to have some savings from the ministrations that you have been going for, the gigs you've been going for, and then you can say, okay, I want to book a studio space to rehearse. You should not want to rehearse and you're not going under the tree or looking for how to fund your rehearsals. If you are an itinerant artist who is also a recording artist, and you are releasing songs, you need to take some money. Let's say your streams are not yet up and you are just starting. You want to be able to promote your music. You want to be able to use some of those funds to also do your recordings, all right, or as part of what you are getting from those ministrations you are having, all right. If you can afford it, when it comes to certain things about your artistry, don't do it by yourself. Let people, because many times you are putting so much on your head that you cannot even breathe. You are the one writing the songs, you are the one thinking about artwork, you are the one thinking about the direction of the vocals during recording, you are the one thinking about how to get venue for your record, for your live recording, you are the one trying to do the distribution, creating content. Yet there may be a point where you may not have the funds to do all of those things, to pay for people to do those things, but at least you should have some friends that you can say, help me do this. It's part of the structure, right? Because it's going to get to a point, even if you are doing it by yourself when you start, it's going to get to a point where you cannot sustain it again. You will need some help. Okay? You will definitely need some help. Now, I'm going to be having a part 2 of this particular series where I'm going to be now talking about the money part. I'm going to be talking about the things you need to establish if you want to do music for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. There are things you need to put in place. Now, look at it this way. Let me round off with this. Many people have said some things that I don't agree with. They will tell you that the lifespan of a music minister, of an artist, is 5 years. Some will say it's 10 years. I don't agree with that. I don't know where they read that from. Maybe they are picking it from what is happening to others, but that's not true. The same way God has called you as a minister of music, as a gospel artist, is the same way He called the preachers and called the pastors. So we have pastors that are 80, 90 years old that have been in ministry for the past 40, 50, 60 years. What makes you think that as a gospel artist, after 5 years or 10 years, your glory fades? Why can't we have gospel artists that will say, I've been in music ministry for the past 60 years and they are still on point? We have people that have been preaching for 60 years. They didn't go from preaching after 10 years, then start mentoring other preachers. But that's what we find in the gospel space. Somebody will sing after 10 years, they will not say, you know what, we are now the godfathers. Let's start pushing other people and mentoring people. I don't think it should be that way. So we're going to start looking at how to really, really help people to stay the long haul, right? So watch out for the part 2 of this particular class, of this class 5, on how to establish godly and profitable music business structures for gospel artists and music ministers. If you need me to guide you and mentor you on this topic, I want you to look at the information at the end of this video. Send me a DM, reach out to me. There is a one-on-one coaching mentoring session that is happening for people who desire to have it. My name is Tom Tush. Until the next class, enjoy grace. Bye for now.